Today our major goal was to get the MT-09 tail pieces totally buffed out and ready to install. Now, we started out the day thinking we were going to be able to have enough time to install them back on the bike, and even though the weather here has been absolutely brutally cold, but we didn't plan on until the last minute. We were told Miles was coming over for the day, and so I kind of rushed through the second half of this, trying to get it finished before he got here, thinking maybe he would stop and say, "Grandpa, let me help you out here." Well, guess what? I did it all myself. But anyway, we did have a great day today. And by day's end, even though it was a little bit of a struggle, we had the patience to finish it all up. And tomorrow, we'll get it installed back on the bike. So this morning, I did something a little bit different. As soon as I got up, I threw a coat on, took the parts out of the garage, put them under the heating vent so they're dry in a couple hours already. Try to get us a little head start on the day because it's going to be a very short day. We have family stuff to do. But every time we can add one step to it, and today's video is going to be about buffing out the parts that we did the touch-up on and re-cleared yesterday. So those parts in a few hours should be ready to buff. Now, I'm not sure we're going to have enough time to come out and assemble a bike and do a photo shoot or anything because, again, today's a pretty special day. We have a lot of family stuff to do today. But we will get it buffed. And the parts are all ready for the assembly, so whenever that comes, but believe me, I don't want to rush this in any way. And it's a bright sunny day in the low teens, and we are freezing out here, so the quicker I can get down a cellar, have my coffee, the better. And I learned my lesson a long time ago about trying to rush any paint work, actually rushing any work. I'm not really in a rush, even if this bike were finished and totally done and the wheels were painted. I'm really too cold to ride in the low teens here. Now, as I'm looking at all the modifications we made, the parts we painted, the parts we polished, the wheels and whatever, at the end of this video, if I have time today, I'm going to try to put the day that we picked up the bike. Whoa, what a difference from that day to today. You really never realize sometime until you look at them back to back just how much work I've done already. Boy, in this weather, the birds are so hungry. I don't blame them either. But at least they know they're coming off of my income tax this year. Here's breaking news. We ordered a new coffee maker, a more heavy-duty coffee maker with a carafe. Can't wait to get it and start drinking from the carafe. I can't wait to get our new coffee maker. Coffee will taste better. I don't think so. Now let's see what's going on in the shop today and if those parts are drying. Well, let's see what's going on up here. These have been up here for at least 3 hours now. They actually should be up there for another hour. I believe they're ready to buff. Well, I guess we're going to find out. But I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to pass on the information of the forced drying. I never did this. Being honest, I never forced dried paint. All the years I did lacquer and painted Harleys and everything, never did we ever force dry paint. But the new paint, and it's only because I'm not in any rush, I'm just trying to experiment and see. Now the paint, we did the touch-ups on yesterday's video, that we post every day of course, and now this has been sitting in the garage basically overnight and up by a heating vent for about 3 hours. So maybe we'll give it a little more time, or maybe I'll just start sanding it now and see how it sands out. Because I don't have a spray booth, there's always dust in the paint and it always needs to be buffed out if you're real fussy. And I'm fussy. So the most obvious question is, why would you even want to buff parts out? It takes a lot of time and energy and whatever. Well, when you want to have a really perfect finish without these little dust spots, I'm just trying to point them out. Well, the only way I know of to do it, and it's just labor. There's almost no money involved even. But when you take the time to, especially the parts that you're going to see, this is the part we're going to see. Now this is all going to have to be hand sanded and hand buffed, everything by hand here. When you're done, that'll be flawless. Now if I run my hand on it, I could feel those little things. A lot of times out in sunlight you can't even see it. But you know what? When you're very fussy about your motorcycle or very fussy about anything, a car, buffing it out, even if you had a high-end car, it would already have been buffed out from the factory. Now, I've made hundreds of videos about how to buff paint, lacquer, dope, acrylic, nitrate, enamel, and it doesn't matter. The rules are basically similar, not exactly the same. You always start with a few drops of Dawn in some warm soapy water, and in my case, in the modern paint, 2000 grit Indasa sandpaper. And this is the sandpaper that I've found works pretty well for me. You could be the judge of if my bikes are shiny enough for you. It's Rhino Wet, and by the way, you can buy this right off the internet. 2000 grit. I've been painting for over 60 years and trying to help other people for many, many of those years with modeling, model paint, and with, of course, motorcycles. So I always like to do one part in real time to show somebody that might be new to this. And amen, if this is the first time you've watched one of my videos, welcome to the fun and action and coffee. But anyway, soapy water, 2000 grit paper. I want to make the part flat and dull. It takes a little time. It's not going to go in 5 minutes. We'll probably spend a couple hours on these parts. But it's so cold outside, I'm kind of looking forward to really detailing these out and making them as good as I possibly can. And the truth is, this is more of an art than a science. You've got to kind of get a feel for the paint. Now, I can feel now when the paint is not totally dry. If you're new, I would say leave it up by a heating vent or out somewhere warm, not in a bright sun. Sometimes you cook the paint. But in a warm environment, if you live where it's 70 degrees, leave it there for a couple of days. And this goes against what paint people, professionals say, but I found it to be true. If a paint is a day or two older, it sands out a lot nicer. And I think this is going to sand out real nice. But I'm going to show one in real time, and then we'll do the rest of it either in fast forward or off camera or what, because this is going to be a long day sitting at the sanding bench and the buffing bench. But to me, I don't care. It's a cold day. It's why I only do this stuff in the middle of the winter. I try never to paint in the summer unless somebody crashes a bike or some other horrible thing. Anyway, let's see how this paint, it feels right now. I'm getting the feel that this paint is fully cured, and it's probably coming up on 4 hours up by that heating vent right now. Now let me show this. And this is the part. If you understand this part, this has to be flat. Let's see if we can get it. Once it's flat, this is the shiny. You got to get rid of the dust, the shine, any little imperfections. That's just a drop of water there. That's what we're looking to do, is right there. I call parts like this porcupines. There's a lot of sharp edges, a lot of points, and most modern sport bikes are just like this. You've got to really be careful on the points and edges. Now, the whole objective here is to avoid the mountaintops. We've knocked them all down. Avoid these sharp edges. Just kiss it with the sandpaper once. But when we're buffing this by hand, don't buff on that edge. The parts that we're going to see are absolutely perfect now. I've gotten rid of all the dust. We haven't had any fish eyes lately. Now, I ought to keep my mouth shut too, because when you get contamination, and a lot of times what causes fish eyes is you don't drain the compressor enough, and if it's a high humidity condition, you're spitting out drops of water. And I would say another thing I always do with my compressor, I assume everybody knows this, is I always leave the valve open so anything that moisture's in there drains out or evaporates. And that's a really big part of it, that when you don't have to deal with fish eyes, boy, that makes this part of the job so much easier. Now, as I'm finalizing this part, and I'm looking around any little shiny spots, and Karen came down and advised me that today was going to be a very short day. My grandson is actually coming over very soon, and what the kids are doing is they're doing a big renovation on their house, and they're going to pick out appliances today. So this may be a very short day, but I wanted to show this. This was the reason for doing this. If you can, I don't know if you can see that. Let me get it up on a close-up here. I don't know if I can get this on a close-up. This is not even parts you're going to see. You see what it looks like? Let's see. It looks like little dots. What those little dots are is paint that is dried. As it left the gun, it turned into a little golf ball and stuck in place. And they're not, now any that are here, you just sand them out, of course. Now, because I went through in a couple of these spots back here, I'm tending to be real careful when I buff this out or sand it out. Even if there's a few little shiny spots, I'll do the rest of that with compound. But these, I'd like to get all of these out before I actually paint. And see the edge? I've been real careful about not going through on the edge. That's always a problem when you go through on an edge. So it just takes time, and I guess we'll work on this until Miles gets here. Now, we've used several products over my time. Meguiar's seems to work well. Evercoat works excellently. It works almost as good as this, maybe even better. I don't know. I'm not selling them. I'm not really doing a comparison, but this is the one I have a brand new full tube of. We're going to use this, and the thing I like about this product, you can use it buffing by hand or buffing by machine. Either way, this part we're going to buff by hand, and this is really, you can see the grit down here. This is really a smooth, it's not made to compound out cars that are been sitting outside for 20 years. It's made for doing a final high gloss finish. So as is always the case, I like to show the part. It's totally been sanded with the 2000 grit, being very careful around the edges. In fact, maybe even a little too careful, but I don't want to go through at this point and have to do any touch-ups, if possible, of course. Clean microfiber. Shake the product, goes without saying. This product, you don't really need a ton of it on there. A little bit goes an absolute long way, and the stuff is relatively pricey too. Every time I buy it, it's way more than the time before. So I should have invested in it years ago, like Bernie Madoff here. Bernie Madoff of rubbing compound. Okay, so we have the thing on it, the product on there. I want to just do one space, spread it out. I want to do one little space in real time, show it. This always works for me. And I remember, you know, I go way back into the 60s. I was painting things in the 60s, and Harold Price was giving me tutorials and how to paint model planes and everything. Any modeler that will remember Harold Price. He was a legend in the event, and I had the good fortune of studying under him, and he was very, very generous with sharing the information. But back then, we only had red DuPont compound and white DuPont compound, and we'd buff out paint. You'd have Arnold Schwarzenegger arms by the time you buffed out a model airplane. Nowadays, so much easier. So just a piece of cake, in fact, compared to what it was years ago. Now, if I do this in real time, this is what people, that when you see this in real time, it looks a lot better, by the way, in real time. Or if I take a part of a motorcycle and buff out one exhaust pipe on a 4-cylinder bike, then it makes you crazy. You see, wow, this polish is exceptional. It works. I've never seen it not work. And it works on anything. It works on aluminum. It works on the titanium exhausts on some of the bikes like the R1. This is the material I've polished, used for polishing. Okay, so relatively simple here. We go to the clean arm of this. And this is the part I always love showing people. You know, when people see that in real time, in real life, you can go from that to that. Now that is the magic. And I wish I had this product years ago when we were trying to win the all the model airplane concourse awards. We were using stuff that was not even close to being this good, that's for sure. This is magic stuff. And I hope that's the kind of information that really saves everybody a lot of grief. So I'll do the rest of this in fast forward. It's going to go relatively quickly, and then I expect Miles will be here. And whenever I buff a part out by hand, it reminds me of the modeling days. And basically everything had to be done by hand because it was so delicate and so easy to damage it. So doing a motorcycle is a piece of cake. Now the part that always takes the longest is getting in all these little edges and corners. This part is like a porcupine. And the big flat parts you can do relatively easily, but you've got to get in all those corners and angles and edges, and well, it's just a time-consuming labor of love, that's all. And actually any of these restorations, any of these projects that we work on, You've got to deal with them as if time does not exist. When I did the FCR restoration, 900 hours, during that 900 hours, that might have been the happiest time of my life, because I was dreaming of what that bike would look like when it was done. And the first time I took it out, I immediately dumped it. And that's true, that's on video anyway. But I do have video of the first day I bought this bike. I was looking at it last night, and I said, what a great thing. If I could compare it when this bike is done and the wheels are silver, and I could just go do, luckily I took a lot of pictures of it back then too. So it gives me an appreciation of just how much work I've put into this. It doesn't look like, the funny thing is, it doesn't look like I've put a lot of work into it. But trust me, I have. Because it's a subtle change. It's not something, I know a lot of younger people, they run out and buy a sticker set and put racing stickers all over it, and stickers on the wheels and stickers on everything. Well, I like the more subtle approach. I like when somebody looks at the bike and they say, well, what model is that? Is that the special edition model? Yeah, I kind of like that as my choice of things. And I think the good majority of my friends do too. They're not into to make it look like a race bike when it isn't one. But it's all in the eye of the beholder. Now I'm going to finish detailing this part out as quick as I can, because I expect it's only a matter of time and Miles is going to be here momentarily. And he never volunteers to help. Well, I was real happy the way that buffed out. Boy, that just couldn't have been nicer. We've got it just the way we want. Now, I have a little time before, I guess before Miles gets here. I'll start to wet sand out the other one. Maybe get some of that done. So maybe we can get this totally buffed out in the next day or two. I'm just itching to get it back on a bike, see how it looks, and do a photo shoot. When you have two parts that are basically the same, it's always, for some uncanny reason, the first one takes 3/4 at a time. Second one always goes a lot faster. I don't know why, and maybe that's not mathematically true, but it feels that way. I figure I get some of this done before Miles gets here, but that would be really nice. Because usually once he gets here and we start hanging out and doing our thing, that pretty much ends the day, one way or another. So then we'll pick this up if we don't, which looks like the case here. We're not going to finish this today, but this will then just become a 2-day video, and that's all there is to it. So, and we do try to post up something every day, but some days we get caught in the turnstile here, and you never know when. But of course, this renovation that the kids are doing on their house is a gigantic job. I think they laid the block today for the foundation, so I'm looking, maybe later today I'll get to go see it. I don't know. We just got to see how the day plays out. But that's what I like. Every day is different than the day before. No Groundhog Days. Now, Karen and I are very punctual people. We run a military operation. My kids, not so much. So when they told me I have 5-10 minutes, or I knew I might have a half an hour, and I didn't want to waste any of this time. And as it turned out, it worked in my favor. Well, while we were waiting for Miles here, I guess he's delayed, we got the whole part sanded out. And of course, the second part always goes faster than the first one. I may even get a little buffing done here. And, you know, I just love how quickly this paint buffs up now. And I know it would even be better if I let it sit up there an extra day, but even at this is now going on 5 hours. It's been up by a heating vent. Now, I don't know, maybe it is just my imagination that the second part always goes a little faster. I'm never quite sure about that. Anyway, we try to use up every minute possible to get this done, but we're not in a rush. I just don't want to waste any time that I could be drinking coffee or whatever, betting on the stock market or the horses or something. Anyway, it's always amazing to me. The second part always goes faster. There must be a miracle to that. I don't know. Now, every day, and I don't mind it, of course, because the kids are in transition with their house, and anytime we spend with Miles is gold. At this age, we love to, I don't know. I don't even know what we do sometime, but it's a lot of fun. Watch a lot of video, I think. I wish I could get him to do some of this buffing, though. But you know, it always makes me jealous when I see fathers and grandfathers that have sons that want to follow in their footsteps.
Hi, Grandpa.
Hey, come on down. How you doing? You got your video game with you?
Yeah.
Let's see.
My phone.
Bring it over here. Let me see it.
I got my phone, which is only at 30%.
Well, we could charge it up while you're eating.
But I'm going to win some battles, so let's do that.
What are you going to do?
Win some battles.
I thought you came over here to help me buff paint out.
What?
Is that... Don't you want to buff paint out?
Don't you want to watch me win every single one?
Let's see. Let me look at this. Come here. Let's do this. Computer games, buffing paint. Computer games.
Computer games.
What? But I need shiny motorcycle parts.
I don't know how to do that.
Well, I'm going to teach you.
I don't want to.
You make a lot of money. Look how rich I am.
No.
Look how smart I am.
No.
No! No! Who do you know that's smarter than me? Some gefilte fish in your class?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, listen.
Zoe is.
Listen.
Yeah.
How about if I just put this part away, we go upstairs and have something to eat with Grammy? Does that work for you?
Okay.
Okay, let me put my parts away. All right. See you in 5.
I'm wearing my Mario shirt.
You got your Mario shirt?
Yeah.
You should have your Windy, Custom Bikes by Windy shirt that I gave you. All right. Tell Grammy I'll be right up. Unpredictable. Anyway, we got this pretty much buffed. I'll finish it off in 5 minutes here, and we're going to go up and have something to eat with Grammy. So those were 2 relatively complex parts to buff. We got them both done in one session here. And of course the rest of the day is going to be dedicated to playing video games, I think. I don't know. But I'm glad I have that done. Tomorrow I'll get that installed and maybe get our photo shoot done. And we'll put the screens in tomorrow. I don't want to forget that. That really did come out nice. Now, believe it or not, these parts aren't too big, and they're not too, you know, a lot of flat areas on them. And it took me a while, and toughed it out, and at the end of the day, they were done. They're beautiful. So quite an unpredictable day. I had no idea Miles was coming earlier in the day, but of course, family stuff around here is very unpredictable, and we never want to miss a day with our grandson, that's for sure. But what I'm going to do at the end of this, because I'm going to have time at the end of this video, relatively short, I'm going to put a couple of minutes of the video that when the day I picked this up from the dealer, and look at the parts, the white fender, the side, that tail light. That was a lot of work to do to get it to where it is now, the then and the now, the before and after. And the final thing, of course, is going to be the silver wheels. And I have another couple of things that I'm working on. I don't know how it's going to play out. This played out perfectly. Couldn't have been any better. Now this is the footage of the day. I picked up the MT-09 down in New Brunswick. I had to get it in New Brunswick because they had the last blue one left in the state of New Jersey. Nobody locally had the blue, and I sure as hell wasn't going to buy one that was flat black. A nice ride down here. Actually, the sun's coming out. So this guy beat me here with this.
Like all the riding gear and stuff?
Yeah, this has the retro stuff like the Kenny Roberts edition.
Like the wheels.
Yeah? Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. That's a nice setup.
Took it out the box and left it back.
Wouldn't even take the whole box, huh?
So who's happier, you or me?
I think you're both going to be happy.
Well, he made the money.
How many bikes you own?
Me?
Yeah.
This is my 3rd bike.
No, I mean now. How many do you own all at the same time?
Oh no, this is my only bike.
Oh, what are we talking to this guy for? Come on, you know what's going to be fan? I swear to God, you'll be on this is on a windy video. How many videos are there? 1,800. I will get your bike, I promise you. I'll give you my home phone number. Look at this. We both bought I always think of my R1. MT-09. You will be famous, my friend. And you always know you rubbed elbows with Windy. Can you imagine? Now listen, hey, get back on here. You're going to buy a motorcycle now. I convinced you. I want 10% of the commission. Okay, we just sold this dude a bike. Look at this. That's style, baby. You're going to love seeing yourself on a real Windy video. There we go. We have fun with everybody. Gentleman has a beautiful new bike. I got his business card. We hope we're going to see him in the future. So here we are. We're still on the dealership floor. The unfinished nose, the tail light down by the back of the, I don't even know where that was working out. Unpolished exhaust, I don't know, but I knew the performance of this bike was exactly what I wanted. So these are the pictures from just a few days ago. Some of the little progress that we've made. You've got to look at these pictures and that other picture back to back, before and after. And when I look at it, sometimes I can't even believe how much nicer I think it is. And I think we're only about halfway there, because the wheels are going to add a tremendous, nice little custom touch. And the bike still has the flavor and the look that it might have been a bike that Yamaha actually made a version of the MT-09. Now, I've done this down by my computer basically every time I've made any change to the bike, and John Pothier has helped me so many times to envision these things.
Is this?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
Good, take it. Start it.
Sit this better.
Sit on it. I want to see you sit on it. Come on, baby. You drive it home and I'll drive the trailer.
I don't think so.
You look good on it. You should buy one. To load the trailer. Let me give you a hand. All right, my friend. Once again, we've survived another day at the racetrack. It looks so good on the trailer now. Oh, it looks like he's ready to come home to Grandpa Wendy's. Luciano, you're a good guy. I don't care what the Pokey says about you. Well, we made the whole trip back, and it looks like, even though the clouds are getting cloudy and nasty, didn't hit a drop of rain. Now, we made it home, but look at that black cloud coming up to get us, baby. Let's get that puppy in the garage. It looks so good. I just can't believe it. Now, I've had the bike at the time I made this video just a little bit less than a year and a half, little over 10,000 miles. I've made several little carbon fiber additions. I have the windshield that I originally got and painted, polished up the exhaust. There's an endless amount of little details I've done to this bike. And I think it's fair to say you don't really notice them. If you park next to a stock bike, you think, oh, you could do it all in one afternoon. Well, it's anything but that. And some of the carbon fiber parts that Vlad got me, thank you, and that was really nice. Polishing the exhaust, a labor of love. The windshield, it took me almost a year to figure out what windshield I wanted to have. There's about 100 aftermarket windshields, and I didn't like any of them. And then when I finally found one I thought I'd live with, I didn't like that it stood up too much. I had to make carbon fiber brackets. And every step of the way, I wanted to do this bike a little different than the other restorations. I wanted one step at a time. I wanted custom wheels for the bike. I wasn't sure if they were going to be gold or black or what. And when I mixed the custom paint with several pigments, it took me a whole day to fool around with that. And I wound up making a test wheel just to see if I would like it. And then when I compared them both in the sun with the R1 wheels that I had already painted, and the new wheels with the paste pigment, I just was thinking, wow, is that going to change the look of the bike? Now, also that logo, John and I have spent a lot of time massaging that logo, and I want that logo to be the same color as the wheels. Even these little frame covers. Every part of this bike, I have thought it out carefully, and it's been one step at a time, and I'm so glad I did it that way. So this ends a pretty eventful day. We got the parts buffed. We didn't get them installed. We did a lot of little nostalgia things looking back at the day we bought the bike. And thank you, Luciano, for the trailer lift down there. That day we were expecting a big storm. I didn't want to take a chance riding the bike back. It's about an hour, a little over an hour's ride. But again, this bike has been a labor of love. I put a lot of little detail. Actually, all the bikes are like that. But in the end, when the bike is finished, and I think it will be finished probably by spring, mid-spring, early spring, and I have those wheels done, I think it's going to be exactly what I envisioned all along. So if you enjoyed the video, I hope you share it with your friends. And of course, I hope, most of all, that we'll see you tomorrow. And thanks again for watching.